All right, Jason Nolf. Man, we're just talking about your, I was going to start with some Final X stuff, but we're on this topic of Jordan Burroughs. Jordan was on the show yesterday talking about not retiring, and we're kind of going down memory lane. Talk about your battles with Jordan Burroughs. Some of you wrestled, you had losses, you had wins. Just what your experience was like wrestling Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met Burroughs was, I think in 2017. I think I had made maybe my first national team that year. So I was at Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and I was going to be Zane's training partner for the World Championships. I think it was in Paris, and I met Jordan. I think that was the first time I actually started training with him, and I met him, and I remember he was super nice. He talked about. He knew that my wife played soccer. He asked how my family was doing, and very personable person, well spoken. Those were my first impressions of him, and we were able to get a couple goes in, and it was good. I thought that it was competitive. I was like we talked about, I wanted to be the best guy. So when I was wrestling him, I was trying to beat him and be the guy, and I think at that point I was still 70 kilos, but we had a couple close goes, and but yeah, at that point I was okay, this guy's a good guy, and I was able to wrestle with them, and that was kind of my first experience with them, and then we went out to, I don't think we trained again after that. Maybe we trained a couple more times, but I think that was my main time training with him, and then until I competed against him in 2021, I went out and I went 79 kilos, which at that point I wasn't cutting any weight because I was planning on wrestling 74 kilos at that year's World Team Trials, because that was the weight that I wanted. I'd lost to Dake at the Olympic Trials in 2021, and the way that it worked was if Dake had medaled at the Olympics, then he got the automatic spot for the world team. And not that I didn't think that Dake was going to medal at the Olympics. I thought that he would. But I wanted to keep my weight low because I would rather have a better chance to make the 74 team at the World Team Trials rather than getting my weight up and then say he doesn't medal, which he almost didn't medal if Chamizo had beat Kadi Magomedov. Yeah, but that ended up being a close match. So when the Olympics were happening, I'm I don't think that he's gonna medal after he lost his first match. Came back and medaled. So because of that, I had to go up to 79 kilos and wrestled. I wrestled Burroughs in the semis, and I remember right off the bat, I was I just have to get physical with them. My mindset, my game plan was just to because I think a lot of people they respect him too much, almost in a fear way, where they're not willing to go out and compete hard. I think there's a select few that do, me, obviously Mesenbrink was a menace to him at the Olympic trials. But I think going out and trying to get physical with him right away and wrestle him with a high pace, that was my mindset. Obviously I knew that he's trying to hit blast doubles on the edge. He's trying to get me to come into him and blast double. So every time he would kind of drop to his knees, I would circle away and not really let him get close, and then just try to hit him hard. I think that I ended up giving up a penalty because I went hands to the face, but I did that on purpose. I was putting my hand on his face on purpose just to to get a little bit mean with them, and just let him know that I wasn't there to lose. And then we ended up getting into a finger lock position, and then I double legged him, but then the ref called me for a point for finger locking, which I don't really see that too often. But when you're wrestling a guy like Burroughs, you have to be willing to beat the ref too, because the refs are always going to give the benefit of the doubt to the legends. So I knew that going in, and then a couple of his takedowns, I thought were close to just being 1-point push outs, because I didn't think that my knees hit, but again, I didn't think it was close enough for me to like throw the challenge brick or anything. And then I got to his legs a lot, but I remember wrestling him at 79 kilos. He was so strong.
Yeah.
He was like, he felt a lot bigger than me. Like I would get to his legs and like, he's strong. He's strong at 74 kilos too, but I just remember like at 79, he was big. So I think I ended up losing the match like 5-3 or 5-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, which I was pretty upset about. But then we were able to wrestle again at 74 kilos at the Olympic trials in 2024. And I remember thinking before the match, like as I was pacing back and forth, that I was going to double leg him. Because I love hitting people in their own moves. Like that's like my thing. Like when I was in college, like Coach Cody would be like, hey, I was wrestling Chad Welsh, and he was like, hey, this guy has a really good headlock. I was like, I'm gonna go headlock him then. And I think I hit him in a headlock in the NCAA semis. But that was like what I always want to do. But I think that God put it in my mind that I was gonna double leg him, because I really wasn't planning that up until the point where I was just pacing back and forth before the match. And I went out there and was just moving my hands and feet. Like that's what I try to focus on when I'm competing, is moving my hands and feet and getting to the legs. I know every time he's going to drop down that he's going to be trying to shoot in. I know he's going to be going really hard for push-outs, being really careful when we get to the edge to make sure I'm circling hard, not reaching on him. And I just pretty much wrestled a perfect match. Like obviously I could have like scored more points and stuff, but defensively, like energy-wise, you know, I got a takedown a couple times, and they challenged it, and it got overturned, ended up being grounded. But every time there was a challenge, I just assumed that it was not going to go my way. But I just was pacing back and forth. And I think if you have that mindset, like when you're competing, that, hey, even if this call doesn't go my way, I'm still ready to get back and wrestle. When you have that mindset, then you're not as let down. Like, but if I'm like, oh, I really want this points, I really want to score this, and then they overturn it, and now you don't get any points, then you get like an adrenaline, like then you're upset and you're like pouting, and I never want to have that mindset. I want to have the mindset that I have to beat the referees, the judges, and my competitor. And I think when you kind of focus on that, you can still bring the energy. And like, to me, I didn't care one way. Like, obviously, yeah, I want the call, like I want the points, but like, to me, that's not going to change the way I wrestle. Like, I'm going to wrestle hard for 6 minutes no matter what. And I was able to double leg him early in the second period. And then I knew he was just going to go hard for push-outs, and I was ready for his sprints. And I got really good last year at wrestling on the edge, not letting people push me out. I could show that maybe later on, like technically, like what to do on the edge, like to not get pushed out. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about that. It was probably like peak of my wrestling, like match wise. Like, it wasn't my favorite moment. In general, like I liked winning the nationals more, because that was like my lifelong goal, was to be national champ. So like those were like more important wins in my head. But like in terms of like my peak wrestling, like that was probably the best match I've ever wrestled, just against such a high level wrestler like him.
So, you know, you're saying that was your peak, maybe the best you were ever wrestling.
Yeah.
And then to make the decision to retire right after that was something that it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we've been sitting, all we do is talk wrestling all day. And as we look at the field, as Alex Daringer retires and Jordan's sort of status was in question, it's like Jason Nolf is going to make the team if he wrestles, right?
Yeah.
That was just kind of the thought. So how hard was that decision, knowing you were right there to make teams, you never got on a senior level team, and then maybe the year to do it was the year you decided, okay, I'm moving on to other things?
Yeah, it's very interesting timing. I knew that this was gonna be my last season, so the decision was already made. Obviously wanted to go win the trials and win the Olympics. Didn't happen, but that didn't change my mind. I have it's not that I don't like wrestling anymore. It was just I have other things in my life that I want to pursue and put more energy into, like jiu-jitsu and ocean and running a wrestling club. Like I want to be like a well-rounded person. I feel like too many people get caught in like having their identity as one thing. Like, yeah, I'm a really good wrestler and I could do that for the rest of my life, to a certain point. But I don't really want to do that. I want to do other things too, because I feel like we have like people are so gifted, and I have like so many other opportunities that I'm able to pursue. And like I don't identify with wrestling. That's not who I am. So because of that, like I view myself as like a businessman, as a athlete, like a golfer, like a husband. Like I have all these different things in my life that are going on that I want to put more time into. And for me, wrestling was like, if I'm wrestling, like I got to be like locked in on wrestling and like giving it 100%, like in what I eat and what I'm thinking about, and like so much effort and energy goes into it. And I was no longer really willing to continue to maybe make that sacrifice to like sacrifice other things in my life that I wanted to put time into to keep wrestling. So that was kind of probably like my main thought process behind making that decision. I mean, it sucked wrestling, losing in the trials finals for sure, because I felt like I was at my peak in wrestling. I tore my MCL in like the first single leg that Dake shot on me, which is like, that's just part of wrestling too. Like I just put myself in a bad position. My right knee wasn't as flexible. I tried to do an ankle whizzer and he just pulled it up and it popped. So like I felt like I wasn't able to like fully wrestle that match, but that doesn't mean that like I just need to be better at not getting myself into that position in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's not an excuse, but it just like it definitely sucked to like have to lose that way. But yeah, I don't regret my decision or anything. I did think about coming out of retirement to wrestle 79 kilos this year.
Yeah.
But again, like when I made my decision, it wasn't because I didn't think that I was going to make the team the next year. Like I didn't know when Dake was going to retire or when Burroughs was going to retire or when any of these guys, but like I still believe I can beat them. And so for me, it wasn't about like trying to avoid them or retiring because I couldn't make the team. It was because because I know like if I wrestle long enough, I'm going to make the team. And it happened with Dake. He didn't make the first world team until 27 or 28. Same thing with David Taylor. And then they're multiple time world champions, Olympic champion, Olympic medalists. Mm-hmm. So like for me, it wasn't about like lack of confidence or anything. It was just like wanting to do other things in my life.
Yeah. You've mentioned a lot. We're going to get into, we're going to talk about Final X and some other things. But while we're on the topic, jiu-jitsu, I know it's something you've been doing, been training, but how much of what are your actual aspirations in the sport? Do you want to be one of the best in the world? Is it something you're just trying to learn? What is your goal?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've had to think about that more and more because when I first moved down to Austin, I was competing a little bit last summer, but I wasn't really training at all. Mm-hmm. And then I just started taking training more seriously this January. But even still, like I still like wasn't like as locked in as like something like wrestling, because I think jiu-jitsu, like the training and the competing, like there's not a lot of like true professionals that are like doing everything the way that like wrestlers train. Like you get a lot of people that are just like doing drugs or doing like steroids or kind of like, which like steroids are not illegal in jiu-jitsu, but you get a lot of people that are just like on testosterone, and like that's kind of like that's their advantage rather than like their like mentality about it and like the way that they actually train and like the food that they put into their body. So like I think jiu-jitsu in itself is like a little bit more of a relaxed sport, but to me I'm like super competitive, so I still want to win. And the more I'm like starting to train and compete, like the more I want to train and compete, because I want to like whatever I do, I want to like be competitive in everything I do. I want to win everything. So I was just on the UFC BJJ reality TV show that'll be airing on YouTube soon, but I just competed in that. I can't really share any details yet, but like that motivated me as well to keep getting better and keep improving. So I'm not really sure. I think I need to think a little bit more about like my aspirations of exactly what I want. But I think like being a UFC champion would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like being the welterweight. What do you call it? Welterweight champion for BJJ. I think that would be cool to have the belt and stuff. So that would be like, I guess, like one of my aspirations.
Sweet, that's awesome. Switching to Final X, 9 men's freestyle matches. The Jax Vito match got moved, so maybe we can talk about that another day. But the main event, Kyle Dake versus Zahid Valencia. What is the great challenge that maybe people don't realize that Kyle Dake presents?
I think it's just really his defense. I think that, but people understand that, but it's like hard to like, as a wrestler, like you don't know until like you actually wrestle him. It's like such a different feel than anybody I've ever wrestled. I think that there's a lot of great wrestlers, but like defensive wise, he's probably like the greatest defensive wrestler. You know, he does have some offense too, like when he wants to, but like I would say like his main strength is his defense, and his chest lock is just super strong. You know, I think that if Zahid, what Zahid did to beat him, and what he needs to continue to do is when you attack, you get his foot off the mat, and that's how the Japanese guy beat him at the Olympics too. Shot low single, got his foot in the air, and if Dake's foot's in the air, he can't chest lock anymore. So he needs 2 feet planted on the ground. So I think that, you know, just trying to wrestle him on and shoot like double legs isn't really effective, because, I mean, if you watch his matches with Burroughs going back, like every time Burroughs would get double leg, like he would start on a single leg, be doing good, and then he'd switch to a double leg, and then Dake would just go chest wrap and launch him for 4. And so you have to like play that game. But like the main goal, like to beat Kyle Dake, you need to get his feet off the ground. So whatever way you want to do that, I think like when Sidakov beat him, like he got him into crackdown and then got his feet off the mat. He elevated his feet using both of his hands. But I think really whatever way you want to do that's how you beat him. And then Zahid's really, really fast and explosive and strong, but he also gets really tired. So, but I think Dake gets really tired too.
Yeah.
So they both kind of get tired. So it's like a toss-up match in my opinion. Like either of them could win.
Do you think it'll look different in Final X from how it looked at the Open? And also, how do you think the 2 out of 3 potentially favors one or the other?
I think the 2 out of 3 would favor Dake, just because, really just because of like Zahid gets tired. I think a little bit more than Dake, but I think that, like I predict that Zahid will win match 1 when he's fresh. If he can, I mean, he's been training with David and all those guys, and I think that he's going to be even more prepared. David's wrestled Dake a ton. I mean, they were really good friends, business partners, and so David knows pretty much everything about Dake. And Zahid training with David is going to give him a huge advantage in this series. But Zahid's got to go out and like still put on a good performance. Like you gotta go out and compete hard. And I think that Zahid did a really good job in the first match of like defending Dake's chest lock, even when he was tired. So if Zahid can kind of just get to Dake's leg, like whenever he starts getting tired, if he can just kind of dive in on a leg and hold a grip and just keep a good strong base, like I could see the match ending like that, similar to the way that the last match ended.
Your 2 Final X matchups with Dake, they're kind of really different. The story in 22 was, I think you had the only takedown in the series. It was extremely close. Was there anything that surprised you in the 23 meeting where he was able to make? Was it his adjustments? Was it your tactics? What was different?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, well, we weren't training together in 2022, and you know, compared to our matches in 2021, it was a massive improvement, closing the gap.
Yeah. And
really, his goal in 2022 was to like pressure me and get me to the edge, push me out, shoot me out. I think I got called for a fleeing once, but that was like his game plan. In 2023, we were training like in the same room, and I made adjustments based on the way that we wrestled in 2022, and I was training that way in the wrestling room and then he wrestled me in a completely different way. Now I don't know if he was like, I don't know if they were watching me or if like he just also knew that I was going to make adjustments, so he made adjustments. But that's one of it. Like he's really smart and very good at like making adjustments match to match. So he definitely wrestled me a lot differently in 2023. You notice like he's more on the outside, didn't pressure me to the edge at all. And then he did take me down a couple times with some shots. So he wrestled like I thought he wrestled a completely different match. And I tried to make adjustments based on our previous match, but the way that he wrestled me, it just didn't work. And then I wasn't good enough to make a mid-match adjustment to figure it out. So he just beat me. And then the second match, I was, I focused. I was like, I'm just going to go out and try to score as many points as I can. And I think that there was a part of me that I was always like a little bit like cautious to shoot under him because he was so like powerful with his chest lock. So, but the more we trained together, like over the following years after that, 2023 and 2024, I got more and more confident, like actually shooting on him and like being able to defend chest lock, get his foot in the air, getting into positions like that. So yeah, there's definitely a big difference in the two matches.
Yeah, knowing he was going to be your, the Olympic team went through Kyle.
Yeah.
How often are you guys able to train? Or was he willing to train with you? Were you willing to train with him?
Yeah, I think we were both willing to train with each other. Like for him, like I don't think like there's no like it's not like disrespect or anything. It's not like we didn't like each other or anything like that. It was just more that it was just weird because we were training in the same room, and then like I felt like neither of us could really get like personalized coaching to beat each other. So we just had to like kind of figure it out on our own. Where it'd be nice if like my coaches were actually able to like help me game plan for like I pulled in Bo, and Bo helped me game plan for those matches, and use some other like resources that I had available. I actually messaged like John Danaher, my coach now, and he gave me like some good advice on like a way to approach the matches and stuff like that. But like I couldn't go to my own coaches because they were coaching him too.
Yeah.
So it was just like that just sucks. But like the better Penn State gets, the more common that's going to become. And there's no NLWC versus NLWC matchups this year, are there?
No.
No. So this will be a different year. But yeah, just like the situation just kind of sucked, like in general, that I couldn't like trust my coaches to be able, not that I don't like trust my coaches, but like to be able to trust them to like help me prepare for that match.
Yeah.
Where it was just like we were just doing, but it's the same thing for him. Like he can't trust the coaches to help him prepare for against me either. We just have to figure it out, and then it's just like whoever's better at figuring it out on their own.
Yeah.
And we have other resources that we can go to. So it was just an interesting situation, but it's not like that uncommon.
Yeah, well, it is uncommon. It's only common really there.
Yeah, you had like David versus Brooks, same thing.
Yeah, you had Nick versus Zane.
Yeah.
Is that just the double-edged nature of what Kale and Cody and Casey have been able to build? Is there such gravity towards that program that it's just part of the? Do you think there's any way to handle that where it's not uncomfortable when you have two of the best guys in the world and in the country in the same room?
I just think there needs to be like a ton of communication, being very open about everything and expectations when these situations are going to come up. But yeah, it's still going to be like awkward, and it's still going to be a tough situation either way. But I mean, either way, like I remember I went on a recruiting visit to Stanford when I was in high school, and I think like Connor Schramm was my host, and he's like, "Oh, don't go to Penn State because like you might not even like make the team there, and like you're going to be the guy here." And I'm like, I want to be a 4-time national champ. Like wherever I go, like I'm going to be the guy. And so like I ended up choosing to go to Penn State. And so it's the same thing. Like if I want to be an Olympic champ, like I got to beat these guys no matter where they're training. Whether like if they're in my room, if they're like, it's the same thing. Like if you go to Penn State, like yeah, you're gonna have to beat somebody really good to make the lineup. Mm-hmm. But that like the best guys are still gonna go to Penn State because that's like when you do make the lineup and when you are the starter, you have the best chance of like becoming what you want to become. Where you still have the opportunity to become who you want to become at other schools too. And now you got like Oklahoma State that's like unbelievable. Iowa's unbelievable. Like really, like any of the top colleges, like they're starting to have like more and more guys around. So like you can't really make a bad choice there. But yeah, if you want to like, you want to surround yourself with as many good training partners as possible.
Yeah.
It's nice. I guess it'd be nice like if they were like not in your weight though. But like for me, like I could train with Zane and I could train with Bo and Snyder and all these other guys. We already had like a ton of good guys in there to train with. So, but it's just I think if you want to be the best, you gotta like training with the best guys are gonna help you become even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just part of it.
You mentioned Oklahoma State, and there's a lot of excitement around that program, what they're able to do this year, what they've sort of built with the RTC. In your estimation, just how big is that gap still between Penn State and Oklahoma State, and just how hard is it going to be for David and company to kind of like get on, maybe not even on their level, but to get to where they can compete against Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, I think that another year or two, and they're going to be on the level, competing for a title with them. I think that a lot of the guys that transferred over there from Penn State are like, they could be starters on the Penn State team. So I think there's a lot of like toss-up matches already that could happen this year. Now, it seemed to me that David was able to help his guys peak last year. He had 2 national champions and 3 national finalists. Mm-hmm. So being able to take those guys, being able to like train Wyatt to beat Gable, being able to train Hamity to beat Levi, and to beat O'Toole. And I know that like O'Toole was hurt a little bit too, but still David learned from Coach Kale, so he knows what Penn State does, and David's younger, he's hungry. I think Kale's still hungry too, but I think that David's probably even hungrier, trying to like catch up. Where, I don't really know like their exact mindset, but I think that Oklahoma State is not far behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Switching back to Final X, you had mentioned Mitchell Mesenbrink earlier. He's going to be wrestling David Carr. It's actually the first match on the card.
It's a great first match.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that. For someone that trained with Mitchell, I'm assuming you did. What is that like? It just seems like sort of a one-on-one kind of personality, demeanor in the sport. What were your impressions of Mitchell Mesenbrink?
Yeah, the first time I wrestled with Mitchell was at the Olympic Training Center before he was at Penn State. And I just remember like he was so like spazzy. I was like, but like I didn't know him either, so I was like, I want to crush this dude. Like I was like, why is he like trying to like? But we just wrestled. But I remember he wrestled hard, and he gave it his all. And when he got to Penn State, we became friends. But he was always like, when we first got to Penn State, he was like, people didn't realize like the type of like crazy that he is. Like he just like wants to go and like he'll clap in your face and stuff. But like some people like saw that as disrespectful. So like I like him and Imran used to get into it a little bit, and they would just like beef a little bit, be pushing each other into the wall. But then like eventually like everybody started to realize like that Mitch is just a good dude, and he just wants to wrestle hard, and he asks a lot of questions in the room. Like nobody asks more questions than Mitchell, because he wants to learn, he wants to get better, and he talks about like bringing it a lot, and he brings it when he wrestles. Like no matter who he's going against, he doesn't care. If you're Jordan Burroughs or like if you're somebody he doesn't even know, he's gonna wrestle you just as hard and be just as physical and try to smack you around. And I think because of he's in such good shape and he just goes nonstop, and he's great at hand fighting, he's great at misdirections, and he shoots a lot. When you're a person that shoots a lot, you get better at wrestling. It's just like if you want to get better at wrestling, you need to shoot more, right? If you want to like you can be pretty good at hand fighting and like defensively, but like if you want to be like become like the next dominant wrestler, like you need to learn how to shoot. And the better you learn how to shoot, the better your hand fighting becomes, the better your snaps become, better everything becomes, and then you just overwhelm people. He reminds me of Merab. Like Merab just beat Sugar Sean and the UFC fights. He like submitted him, but he just overwhelmed him. And when you just overwhelm somebody, even if they're a better wrestler than you, like technically, you can still just like you can beat them and break them tech fall him even. So, yeah, Mitchell was just, we just wrestled hard, and he was always like a fun guy to go with.
Yeah, you talk about, I don't know if the best word for it is antics, but the talking and the clap. What kind of an edge can that be for someone in a wrestling match, not a training, but in wrestling itself?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna like fluster like somebody else, like even if it makes you angry, like, and that makes you like people like out of character. Like if you're not a wrestler that gets angry, and then like Mitchell wrestles you, and then you get angry, you get out of character, you start making mistakes, and then he starts taking advantage of that. Where like if I were to wrestle, it wouldn't bother me because like I like that kind of stuff. Like I like when people like try to like smack me or like talk to me, like that like is fun for like it's fun. Like it's literally just fun wrestling, but that's not really gonna make me angry. It's just gonna make me have more fun. But some people will let it like they'll let it make them angry, and then they start like acting out. You saw it with Burroughs, like made Burroughs angry, and then he got fans to boo him because like, and then like when fans are booing you, now you're like I remember I wrestled in Michigan, and like the Michigan fans were like booing us and stuff, and I was like, that does have a little bit of an effect. Like when people boo you, it
Really?
like I can't like if you like sometimes you can't hear it, but like if people are booing you, that's kind of like I've not been booed very much because I just wrestle hard and like I try not to be disrespectful to my opponents, but like if somebody's booing you like that's not fun, and you can kind of like sense that a little bit. So I think that like because Burroughs kind of retaliated, he got booed. I think that like affected him at the trials too. So it was interesting.
Do you think it was Tyler that booed you at Michigan?
Probably.
He's kind of like
I was thinking about this last night. Yet the person that I not feared the most, but the person I was ever most nervous to wrestle in college was Alec Pantaleo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like he was so like short and strong and explosive, and I was like, I'm not that strong. But like sometimes he'd be like 49 pounder sometimes. I'm like, dude, just go down to 49.
Yeah.
But I wrestled him at 57. But like I had a really close match with him at Michigan. I had to like ride him out in the third period to win.
I remember that.
Which it helped that like his bottom wrestling wasn't like the best. Like, but he was so like he took me down twice in that match. But yeah, I just think I threw a leg in and rode him out. But yeah, that was the guy I always got most nervous to wrestle in college was Pantaleo.
Yeah, he's definitely really tough. For that 74 kilogram match, Mitchell. Actually, before I go to that, you're talking about getting angry. Were you angry when that Buffalo guy was doing?
No, I wasn't angry.
You
I
killed him so fast. After that, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So and it made me happy actually because when I wrestled in high school, like if you ever go back and like watch me like wrestle at like Virginia Beach duels or like any of those duels, like I used to like literally like try to like bully people. Like I would shove them hard out. Like we go out of bounds and I just shove them onto their back. Like I would do that kind of stuff all the time. Like, but then when I got to college, I'm like, I can't really be doing that anymore because it's like it doesn't look good and they can't really be disrespectful, especially because I felt like my wrestling was so much better than everybody else's that I wrestled. So I didn't want to I just wanted to use like technique, and I still use pace and heavy hands and stuff, but like the kind of disrespectful stuff, like I couldn't really do. So when he did that to me, I was like, I get to do what I want now. And that's really what I want to do, is like shove people's head in the ground like hard.
Yeah.
I want to push him out of bounds. That's fun to me. So when he did that, when he danced on me, I was like, I can get a little dirty with him, and then I was able to pin him too, which was good.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because I almost didn't pin him in that match. I was trying to get as many pins as I could.
Wow, you got him. You're the Penn State pin leader.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But with the Mitchell Carr match, maybe before that, like just how many of these bouts, the 9 matches, could you see going a third? And could you see that with Mitchell Carr?
Yeah, I definitely think that Mitchell and Carr could go to 3 matches. Obviously, like Mitchell kind of like widened the gap against Carr the last time they wrestled. I think he ended up tech fall.
Yes.
But up until that point, David like went out and got a 4 on him right away, or like got up 2 and 2, and then got to his leg again and almost got a push out, but instead ended up giving up, or almost got a takedown and instead ended up giving up a push out or takedown, and then right off the whistle, Carr wasn't ready and Mitchell just got to his legs. David made two big mistakes in that match. Number one, he wasn't ready on the whistles. He got unfocused. Then he got behind, and then it was harder to come back from behind. And the second mistake he made was every time Mitchell got to his leg, he kept trying to chest lock him. And every time he chest lock him, he'd just give up 4 points. So you score 4 points twice, like that's a big deal. And so I think if he just like is a little bit like, maybe tries to turn it into an ankle whizzer. Like if Mitchell gets to his leg, try to shove his head inside, get ankle whizzer. Or like at the very least, if you're getting taken down, try to bail out and give up 2 instead of 4. Just little things like that you just need experience. Like, and David's been wrestling a ton, getting more and more experience in freestyle. Like, I made a ton of mistakes. Like, I remember wrestling James Green, and I had him beat at the U.S. Open. The last tournament I wrestled 70 kilos. I was up by 1, and I had criteria if he pushed me out. 10 seconds left, he's driving in on double leg, doesn't even have like a tight double leg. I go to whizzer kick, and he takes me down, I lose. It's like little things like that. You learn how to wrestle freestyle better the more you do it. And I think that these matches will be a lot closer, but Mitchell's just going to keep bringing it in and wrestling hard. And I think David maybe has like a slight speed advantage. He's really fast, really fast at getting into the legs. But if he wants to win, he needs to finish his shots, and he needs to like wrestle hard the entire matches. But I think that I think it could go either way, but I love both of those guys. They both wrestle really hard, and they're fun to watch.
2 more questions for you. One, Spencer Lee, Luke Lillidahl.
Yep.
Luke was kind of sort of the obvious person to probably face Spencer just based on who was left, Gilman being out of the mix and Zane being up at Greco. How far off and what progression have you seen in Luke, and as you think about his match with Spencer, like what is that gap there as you see it?
I think the gap's still like pretty big between them two. Spencer's really, really good. Luke's really good and really fast, but Spencer's been like, I've talked about it, he's so strong. And I think that when they wrestled last time, I think that Spencer just got at him a bunch, and I could see that kind of happening again. But I could see Lillidahl like scoring on him with some reattacks. But I don't really know how strong Lillidahl's parterre is. So I think that could be, but I think that, I think that Spencer will be the heavy favorite in those matches. Yeah.
My last question is about coaching. What are you drawing from? You're obviously at the #1 program, Penn State, with the #1 coaching staff. You had great coaches back in Pennsylvania, Jody Stripmatter, Coach Waller. To which of those do you derive your current coaching style? How much have you been able to form your own philosophy? Like, what kind of fuels your strategy in coaching kids?
I would say my main strategy would be like a mix between like Jody Stripmatter and Isaac Greeley. He was my Matt Factory wrestling coach, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy as well. But those are like the main 2 clubs I trained at in high school, like during the wrestling season. Coach Waller, our practices were more, I would have, if I could kind of separate and do more, I'm kind of limited at the high school in terms of like hours, the amount of days I can be here, and like the times I can be here. Ideally, I would like to have like like more of a beginner club and then like more of an advanced club. But right now they're kind of combined, especially in the summer. So for the beginners, I think it's great to go more of like a Coach Waller style, where like we used to drill maybe like 5 moves in 2 hours. But we just he would walk around and watch, making sure every single group has it perfect. But we just did fundamentals: blast double leg, sweep single, knee slide stand up, like simple stuff like that, and building the basics, because you need that before you can start getting into more of like play wrestling or like hard drilling. Like if you don't know the techniques, it's hard to drill hard, because then you're just like making mistakes. You have to learn the techniques first. So I'm just trying to like do a combination of everything. I don't really train like we do at Penn State, just because you have to like be at a certain level before you can train the way that the guys at Penn State train. Because, for example, we'll do like, hey guys, we're working on finishing single legs. Here's 4 options, play with it, and partner give a different reaction. But like the kids need to learn like one, like they don't even know what a whizzer is sometimes. So it's like I got to teach them what a whizzer is. I got to teach them how to sprawl properly. So we're not really to that point. I think as the club gets better and better, then we'll start transitioning into more of the Penn State style. But one thing I do take from Penn State is just like trying to get kids excited to come to practice. So we always like play a game at the beginning of practice, which I never did in high school, and I didn't think I was going to do here because I was like, I want to do things the way that I did them in high school, and like obviously use what I liked and what I didn't like and like adjust it. But I do like I like playing games too, so it makes me get excited to come to practice too. And I think when kids are excited to come to practice, like you see kids are showing up like 30 minutes early. Kids aren't walking in really late ever, unless they have like jiu-jitsu practice before. But kids are excited to come, but we have to make sure that when we're playing a game, it's a game time. But when we're wrestling, like it's time to take it seriously and drill hard. I got pretty mad at practice last night because I felt like kids weren't drilling as hard as I wanted them to, but I think we need like it's important to have examples in class of like who kids can like watch and look up to of how they drill, and so I'm just asking some like older guys to step up and be that example for them, because if they're in the room, the little kids are on the wall and we're doing a drill to get our heart rate up. Hey, watch Kyle Torres and Nate Riley. Watch how they drill, and then you can see them. Oh, I want to be like those guys because they're, Nate's a state champ and Kyle made it to the state tournament and as a freshman. Like these guys are good, and I want to be like those guys. And now they start picking up their pace, drilling harder. So the more like success like our guys can have, then they start bringing in like the energy to practice and showing like the little kids how to drill harder and like take it more seriously. Like that's just like how we grow.
Yeah.
And then I can call these guys out. Hey, do you want to be like these guys? We got to train like them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Shout out Nate Riley.
Yeah.
Love that kid.
Yeah,
Great
he's a
kid.
man.
All right. Well, Jason, thanks so much for your time. And looking forward to shooting some more content with you.
Yeah, let's
Thanks.
do it. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.